Hello and welcome to today's Abilla webinar, Epic E-Learning, Creating Captivating Online Courses. My name's Amelia Glenn. I'm a marketing manager for Abilla, and it is my pleasure to have you all with us today. It is also my pleasure to welcome our presenter to the floor, Tom Morrison, CEO for MTI Management, of course a thought leader within the association space. We are so excited to have Tom with us. So Tom, with no further ado, it is all yours.
Well, Amelia, thank you so much for having me here today. Just so everybody wants to know a little bit about me and where I come from online learning. I've been in associations for 20 years, CEO level in most of them, and I've been in 3 different associations, and learning has played a huge part and a huge capacity in what I've done within each of the associations I've been a part of, and it's one of my passions. I see it as a great opportunity to reach in and engage members. But love it, I've been in this association, Metal Treating Institute, for now 10 years, and online learning has played a huge revenue source, and we're going to get into the exciting opportunities and values that bring to us as associations as we move along this presentation. So as we scoot along here, so for today's agenda, for everybody that likes to see an agenda, this is what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk a little bit about the MTI story, and when I say how we print money, that is really when we got into online learning. It's one of those non-dues revenue programs that every association really wants to say, man, we'd love to call in and say, if we printed any money today. And it has created a great value stream where we have saved member a lot of money in what they pay for learning, but it's helped create a great set of revenue for our association so we can keep our dues level, meeting income level, that kind of stuff. So we're going to talk about the 7 steps, and then we'll have some time at the end, as Amelia said, for Q&A. So let's jump into this. So the MTI story, just so y'all can understand where we're coming from at it. MTI in 2005, I was hired, and one of my first things they asked me to do was, Tom, we have 5 courses in text material that we would love you to get online and help us start generating some income. They had 0 people in online learning, had no platform. I did a lot of research, and within 30 days, I found a very user-friendly LMS system that had a 30-day free trial, point-and-click build courses, and really within some short period of time, those courses could be live. So within 60 days, I had all 5 of those courses online, and we began to earn money from that. And we quickly went from $0 to just in 90 days to earning like $4 grand in my board, and I was very excited about that. And over time, we went from having 5 courses to 31 hours of coursework, and now we have over 180 hours of coursework online. And we're going to talk about that. But where it's taken us to is it's taken MTI from $0 and 0 activity to now we do over $115,000 a year and over 400 courses a month or past, all with only a little bit of handheld holding on our part with the program because it works. And I know Abilla has a great learning center that works as well, just like that. So, but that's kind of the MTI story. We've had great success with it. And what I'd want everybody to understand on this webinar is we weren't successful because we hit the right market. We weren't successful because we got lucky. We were successful because we followed strategic steps to help us be successful. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Because I really believe every association can be successful at online learning at some capacity if they simply follow these 7 steps we're going to discuss today. So let's jump into the 7 steps. So step 1, why online learning and how do you get buy-in? Well, online learning, I have this great diagram that I've designed in a lot of speaking engagements I do on how to grow an association for the future. And it's real simple. It's got a triangle. In the very center, it says member-focused, member-centric. It's very critical that you as associations are keeping every benefit that you do member-focused. I know a lot of associations that are strategic-focused. And if you were to ask the bottom 50% of memberships, they would say we could care less what the strategic plan says because they're issue-driven. Those issues are important, but they don't help me go day to day in my daily profitability of my business or my society or whatever. So getting your programs to be member-focused is really key. And for member-focused, what you want to do is you want to maximize your value. And how you maximize your value proposition is a saying that I've been saying for 10 years now to associations everywhere I go, that you do things for your members that they cannot do for themselves effectively. Well, if you look at online training, it has the maximum value because it's something that every member could do, but it would cost them tens of thousands of dollars to develop it, launch it, distribute it, and do training. So training is one of those key benefits that you can actually do better than your members and spread the cost over everybody and lower payments. The next thing you want So the bottom of the triangle is maximizing value. The right side of the triangle is maximizing engagement. Online learning is the greatest way to maximize engagement. Why? Because people have to log in. They have to reach out to the association to look into that training and to do that training. And it's your deal to create a program that's epic in their learning experience so that they draws them in and makes them want to come back for more. And a lot of that's learning about the different demographic groups. I just came from the CPA Association that says, how do we teach CPA courses in 10-minute tidbit bites? And that's a challenge they're going to have to work through. So learning is changing, so how you engage them is going to be critical. And the last thing on the left is wow factor. It's imperative that to have epic learning or epic anything in your association, that you deliver it with wow factor. And I always equate it to watching a movie. People love to be engaged by movies, and they want the wow factor. They want it to draw them in, and people want their learning and their association to do the same thing. So why online learning is very easy in that it fits all those criteria. It's very member-focused. It maximizes your value. It gets engagement from the members, and it is always wow factor if you really get creative in your process. And getting buy-in, that's a matter of really communicating that to your board, because what you are going to get, and these are some other areas here, online learning is the most cost-effective learning because it doesn't take any people to pull it off to that degree. A system runs itself. It creates higher margins, which I'm going to talk about at MTI down the road, and lower labor to administer. I mean, ours is really administered by one person who spends maybe 2 hours a month doing the actual administration on, but it's generating 400 courses a month for us. Ability to reach a large audience. One of MTI's problems 10 years ago was we started saying, you know what? 60% of our members never attend a meeting. How do we ever educate them and get them engaged in the learning process? Hence, online learning made sense. You can reach a larger audience. Increase revenue generation. I've already kind of mentioned that, where we went from $0 to $115,000 in a short period of time, and it's really good. And the one thing I love is automation, automation, automation. I love a benefit that we can put in place with machines with a little bit of hand-holding, and all of a sudden it's generating money and activity and engagement in our members. And I'll literally tell you a short story about a member that I visited in the Midwest who said, Tom, I got to tell you something. Your online academy is helping us take people out of prison who want a second chance. They didn't get put in for anything harsh, but they served 1 or 2 years and they need that second chance. We're taking those people and putting them in cubicles with headphones in your online courses, and we're turning them into heat treaters, which is what we do in our industry. And that was an amazing story for us to hear. So we're helping people get even second chances that are coming out of places like prison. So that's what your online learning can do. But that is the why. All these reasons are the big whys. The next thing you're going to have, though, is pushback. And the pushback is not great. I mean, if the opportunity is there, but it is pushback, and some of it is budget. Depending on your LMS, you might have budget constraints. You're going to have maybe the older generation, some baby boomers are going to say, that online learning thing isn't for us. We don't learn that way. I mean, I had some of that in my association, but what we were able to do is to really convince them that this is the way the learning of the future. Most all universities are now going online learning in a lot of criteria. So the pushback, you have to develop your stories to help show them the opportunity to meet those 3 magical things I told you about: engagement, maximizing value, and doing it with wow factor. So pushback is there, but to me it's really nominal, because online learning is one of the benefits that every single association should have themselves plugged into. So the step number 1 is just going through that design process in your mind of convincing your staff and your board and your leadership that it is the way to go. We need to make budget for it, and we need to find the right sources. So step 2 on is going to be about how do you go about doing that? Well, step 2 is you define your niche. A lot of that comes from determining your needs. Many people learn differently. Some like to read, some like audio, some like video, some like short snippets, some like long classes. So you need to kind of figure out, what are the needs of your membership? Does your industry require training? Just like our industry doesn't require training, but it requires you to have a training program, more or less a training culture that's documented. So ours does that. One of the best ways to determine your educational needs is obviously to survey members, survey what type of learning they would like, but more so, what kind of content would they like to hear? We're going to see later that a lot of what people are wanting really these days is how-to and best practices and professional development. Those are 2 pretty easy things to kind of come up with. The next one is you need to survey research your competition. A lot of industries like ours didn't have any real competition, but I know many industries even have private companies that are dipping their hands into to the arena of online learning because they see it as being so profitable. So you need to research your competition, not reinvent the wheel, because your members will want to buy it from you. Some will want to buy it from you from a loyalty factor because they know their revenues are going to benefit them and their industry. But your basic member is going to buy it from the place that gives them the greatest value of learning. One of the things you need to be aware of in looking at competition is I've got a talk called What's Your Uber, where we talk about the disruption of things going on in the future marketplace. A big disruptor right now in the competition is a couple sites like Coursera, Coursera, Coursera.com. They've partnered with major universities like Duke, Kentucky, Yale, Harvard, and they're getting courses into the Coursera website, and they're developing high-end coursework, and their goal is to get that kind of learning down to almost anybody for free that can't afford it. That is a huge market disruptor in competition. If they all of a sudden put in learning that was for the heat treating industry, we may be in serious trouble. Our 120 grand may go to zero because now people can get it for free. Another one that is out there is called General Assembly. It's another website, generalassembly.com, that's pushing learning opportunities. And then the last big one that I always tell people about is lynda.com, Lynda. That was recently bought by LinkedIn this past year, and we all know they have the highest group of professional members in the world online, so they obviously wanted to buy online learning for professional development. So you need to research that competition to make sure that you find your niche so that you can be successful. Our niche was, frankly, we had a professional society in our industry who had high-priced learning that was pretty advanced learning. It wasn't like day-to-day stuff. And so we came in with our 5 courses, and we have grown to be, over 10 years now, the #1 leader in practical daily educational experience at a low cost for our members to save them money. And it sells itself because the price is almost a no-brainer for anybody, and the content is really good. So competition is huge. Determine your competitive advantage. That's what we just did with ours, what I just told you. We branded ourselves as the company that's going to deliver you education, that's going to teach daily practical learning of your industry and how you can better operate, be more productive for a very affordable price. And then consider partnerships. There's some people out there that may partner with an already established learning center, but however you go about it, find out where your niche is and dominate that niche as hard as you can. So after you find your niche, the next thing you want to do is design your search strategy. #1 here that I have on the list is people buy certificates, not education. Think about the association world. In the association world, people do not go out and take courses for how to grow your membership. They don't take courses online for, how do I get non-dues revenue? Some do, don't get me wrong, some do, but what people buy is the CAE. And what you're going to learn later today is about the QAS, the Qualified Association Specialist. That's a staff level CAE type program that was developed, online learning program that was developed by the Florida Society of Association Executives. I actually led the charge of that whole project, and it launched and it went nationwide, and it's now doing very well with partnerships with many other SAEs. But what people want to buy is achievement. They want to buy accomplishment, especially the younger generation, and they want to buy levels. For 20, 25 years now, the younger generation has been conditioned through video games and learning that way that they like to go step 1, then they go to level 2, and they go to level 3, and they go to level 4. And so we actually have been very successful because we have built 4 certificate programs, and one is 5 courses, the next one is 5 more courses, the next one is 10 more courses, and the next big one is like a 2-year apprenticeship program. So we've built them on top of each other so you're earning and learning as you go and accomplishing. Now here's the thing you need to think through with certificate programs is a lot of people say, well, gosh, Tom, what do you have to do when you do that? Now, credentialing is different because credentialing comes with risk because you're actually accrediting that someone will perform at a certain level. Certificate programs have hardly no risk because all you're certifying is that they have X amount of knowledge, that they passed a test and had some retention of educational value through that process. So what we did, certificate programs are easy. Once you understand the needs of your members and you put some coursework together, you put the coursework together that builds a accomplished certificate, and you call it something. Our first certificate program of those 5 courses was simply the Qualified Furnace Operator Program. We put that out, and we started printing certificates, and we even went so far as to print out little handheld pocket-sized laminated cards for our people that accomplished them to put in their wallet. great thing for them to take around. So building a certificate program is not that difficult. You need to understand what educational value and content learning need to be in that certificate, whether it's 1 hour, 5 hours, 10 hours, or 20 hours, and you get the content. Once you got the content done and online, you then call it something, and then you start marketing it. So it's just piecing it together, and they have to build on one another. And what that does is it builds a viral culture of learning, because here's what I love about our system. And this is good in any system. I know Abila has the same type of system that runs this, but our members print out a report of all their employees with the credit hours they've earned, and they'll have on the bulletin board in their employee file in the general public place where all your posters are, they'll put out there that report with a little thing going, hey, Joe, congratulations on your Heat Treat Certificate Award. Who's going to be next? So they're really trying to build a viral element of culture learning within their company. So it really empowers owners and even people that are just like real estate agents and others to really learn in a good way. So real quick, I just wanted to share the QAS story. I just kind of shared it in the steps that we went down, but excuse me, at a board meeting of FSAE, a member said, why don't we have a staff level CAE type thing where people that never want to be a CAE, but they want to make themselves better, learn, and be marketable if they were to go to another association. How do we do that? So we started with a committee and task force that designed what would be the 13 modules that someone would have to learn at a staff level that would tell them everything they need to know about an association and how an association runs and how the dots are connected. And so we mapped that all out, and then we mapped out the learning objectives for each of those elements. And once we had that, we then picked industry professionals. This is where the fun part is. If you've got industry professionals that can be experts in those areas, you can have them do the speaking. And so we got all that content done for literally free because people were loving the opportunity to help the association. So then we got them into a studio, and that was the only thing that we paid for a little bit was studio time. They came in, did their part. The studio team edited the videos and handed them to Abila, and they built the system for FSAE. And then voila, we had a nice 13 module, about probably 20 hours of total video learning for people to get their qualified association specialist. And they launched it, and it's been successful nationwide now. So that's kind of the QAS story that shows you that just an idea, the proper learning content, and the proper speakers, you can create certificate programs just like FSA and MTI. So now let's move on to, and this is what happens. You know, you've completed a 13-hour Qualified Association Specialist program. This is what everyone gets when they do. It's all automated. That's what's great. You take the program, you get an automated certificate, money goes into FSA's bottom line. So that's what can happen to your association as well. Very automated program. Let's talk about step 4, which is assess and access content opportunities. The big thing about your content is you need to take an inventory. A lot of you have, like a lot of people say that we didn't have any content, but our board had text material and Word documents in a closet that were still very apropos or relevant for today. So we took that content and repurposed it into online learning, and later we built videos to go with that learning. So you need to take inventory of what's sitting in your closet that's still relevant today. It just needs to be made epic and more up to date with today's learning environment. And like I said, you can repurpose content. You may have industry suppliers. We have suppliers that we're working with right now to build 8 new courses as a part of this new apprenticeship program that we're about to release. And they're willing to do it for free because they're going to do it on their time. They've got high-def cameras now in their operation, and they're just going to give us the raw footage, and our video team is going to piece that stuff together in a very innovative way in small snippets with learning, because everybody wants small snippets of time now for the learning. So industry suppliers can be a great level of sponsorship. And all we're going to do is give them a nice page on the front end that shares that they sponsored this online learning. And what it also does for them, a big play, is it helps them share their expertise with the members out there. So when they ever need some consulting or want to buy product, guess who they turn to? The people that spoke on where they got that information. Industry experts are a real big key that we did for our online learning center. Some people would, when we had 5 hours and I wanted to multiply our number of hours to 25 or 30, we didn't have 50 grand in the bank to just throw at this thing, because that's what it would have costed to design and put together 35 hours of online learning and get it into the studio and get it filmed. So we basically went to an industry expert and we pitched him that we think this thing's going to sell like crazy, And so we're asking you, we'll pay the cost of you to be in the studio, but we can't pay you. What we're going to do is give you 20% of the revenues for 2 years. And he jumped for it, and it was the best thing in the world. After he invested 1 month doing the content, and over time we were sending him $4,000 and $5,000 checks every quarter, and he was loving life. I mean, it was a great deal for him over those 2 years, and it was a win-win because he got to share his expertise and help us out, and we got to pay him as needed on kind of a commission basis. That worked out really well in terms of the cash flow. So that was a part of being innovative to figure out how can we afford to pay this, because I knew personally all we need to do is get the content out there, and it was going to explode, and it has. The next area is your conferences. We videotape every one of our sessions at all of our conferences, our big trade show. We do about 35 to 40 of them every other year at our conference, and we put them online, and people are out there taking these things. So that's a continual source of content. So these are 5 key areas where you can just jump in and pull content in. The top 2 elements, as I said before, that they've done studies that show, as you look at the future, what are you going to be wanting to do? You're going to want to do how-to and best practices of running whatever business you're in, and then what are the career and professional development opportunities for the individuals? How do they become more marketable and better to serve their companies better? So that's a little bit about assessing the content opportunities. Now, step 5 is determining the pricing model. And, you know, the pricing model is huge out there because this is where the rubber meets the road. What you charge will determine the engagement of your members. And there's 2 types of pricing models. The first one is you can get the most, I say you can suck the money out of every single learner that comes to the door and get as much as possible. There are people out there that do that. They charge, you know, it's a 2-hour course and they charge $500 for it. And a small percentage of people buy that course. So they're trying to get the highest value out of a smaller number of people they can. The other way you can go about it, which I'm a big fan of this, I want to own the marketplace, because engagement, when you're maximizing engagement, that's not maximizing the bottom line, that's maximizing market penetration. And I'd rather have 80% of our members engaged in learning at a low cost than to have 20% engaged at a high cost, because then you have that value, the dollars you receive in volume, especially if you have a system that doesn't take a lot of people hours to manage, because if you take a lot of people hours, as you grow tremendously, then you're going to need to add people. If you've got a great system in your LMS, then we're going to talk about in a little bit, if you have a great system in your LMS, you can grow like us from 0 to 400 classes, and we've not added one person to take on that activity. So we've generated $115,000 this past year, and we did not have a single extra person to do all that. So I encourage you to take a look at those 2 models. Some people, depending on what kind of industry you're in, they look at it either way, but I'd look at both ways. The other way is a per course. The types of way you can charge for stuff is obviously a per course. About 15% of our income is someone who comes to our site and buys a course. The other one you can do is a program. You can create a program for people to get multiple courses. The way we've had the greatest success because of our pricing model is we do corporate subscriptions. 85% of our money comes in from corporate subscriptions. Why? Because it fixes the cost of our member. They can budget $2,000 for the year, and they know that they can get up to 20 employees, unlimited usage for all the programs for the entire year. So employers love it just because it's fixed. They can budget for it. When you say, look, it's $42 per class, and the class pricing is all over the board, depending on how many employees they're training, they never know what their education budget or professional development budget is going to be for the year. But when you have a corporate subscription that's a fixed cost with unlimited usage for up to X many employees, they love that. That's one of the competitive advantages that you can have over people. So that's one of the things I'd encourage you to look through is to offer all 3 of those. But corporate subscriptions, you want to figure out a way how companies can pay the bill, because that's where your learning model really takes off. It did for us. So after the pricing model, here's kind of where the rubber meets the road with a lot of people. Selecting your technology. This can be either cost effective, or it can blow your budget if you do it wrong. So that's why it's really good that you have a strategy for selecting your technology. And I know Abila, who's sponsoring this, can help you out a great deal with that. You want to plan your purchase. That goes back to the first part of understanding your needs, what kind of content, what type of learning environment do you want to like? Do you want to use audio, video? One of the things I learned early on in doing ours is people don't want to be in. You have to do it with wow factor, but I think the system can provide wow factor, but people don't want to be impressed as much as they want to get the content in a way that they can learn it. So you need to figure out, do your members mostly do they want a podcast? Do they want webinars? Webinars are great. We don't do webinars because we do on-demand learning, because I'm like, why schedule a 10 o'clock appointment for everybody to come online when we can videotape it and it can be taken 24 hours a day? And the only time we ever do webinars is to simply get a recording of something that we can put online. But webinars is a very useful thing. I know people who do webinars like this one, and there's a couple hundred people on the line. So it depends on your content, though, and the presenter. So, but you need to plan your purchase around what kind of learning experience your people want. And you need to research the solutions for that and ask them. It's very key that you really put an RFP together as the next one. Develop your RFP that will itemize out all the different tidbits that you want. Do you want your person to be able to change coursework? Ours, we can upload and change and make courses on the whim. If we've got the content, we can have a course go live inside of 2 hours. So it's very easy for us to manage that process. If there's a change, we can make it. You know, you want to get with each of your potential LMS companies and talk about all the different needs that you want to have. You want to demo those things. And the one thing I will tell you is right after that, where it says have call with implementation, in just about every technology program I've ever bought, whether it's been social media, AMS, or LMS systems, we hear one thing in sales, and then we learn another thing in implementation. And I'm a big believer that after you get through the sales process, before you make the commitment, you need to sit with implementation and walk back through everything that you demanded and say, can this do this? Because what you don't want is, well, we can do that, we're going to have to make a workaround on it. You want to make sure that the program that you select can do everything that you're going to need, because the more it can do, the less people you're going to have to hire in order to run that program, and your margins go way up, and that's what's great. And then you want to ask them to let you test the program to ensure it meets your needs. That's the great thing about some of the LMSs out there, is you can get in and play on it with a course beforehand. You can build it, take it, and just make sure that the experience is one that your customers will really love, your members. And the last one is just kind of, check references and call people and ask them what their experiences are like with the company, and have a whole list of questions for them to walk through about their member experience. Because what I've learned in our system is that if there's a bad member experience on the system, the content can be great, but if there's a bad member experience, they're not going to like being there. I've seen instances where you've got average content, but the experience of learning was so easy that they took it. Another strategy I want to walk back to that just came to mind is one that it's called a best practice in dealing with audits. I know a lot of companies, a lot of industries have organizations that come in and audit their members for performance or standards. And one of our members said their dues was worth every penny with the following best practice. They get audited by an organization that audits them for what's called NADCAP, it's aerospace specifications. If you don't heat treat parts in an airplane correctly, planes can fall out of the sky. So you can imagine the standards are very high. They're required to have a training program in there, not specific courses, but just a training program. So what she did was she went to our website, our online learning site, and she printed off the front page of the site and put that in tab 1. That told the auditor who we were and what the learning was about. She printed off page 2, or she printed off our category, our catalog, our online catalog, and put that under tab 2. That told the auditor what courses they could be taking. And tab 3 was simply all the passing certificates that she asked them to print offline when an employee passed the program, and they would put them in that binder. When the auditor would come in, they'd say, so can you tell me what you do for your training? Instead of doing what many people have to do, which is to go into their employee files and take out and make copies of all the certificates and stuff, she simply slid that 3-ring binder book across the table, and the auditor looked at it for about 15 minutes and slid it back and said, thank you very much, check off. She said, Tom, that was worth its weight in gold, because it saved me so much time and effort to have to show what our training was all about. So that's another little tidbit of how having a really quantifiable, systematic online training program can do for you and your members. So that's selecting your technology. So delivery, this goes back to assessing your needs. You need to look at what are the needs of baby boomers, what are the needs of Gen X, and what are the needs of the younger generation, and find where the commonalities are that you can blend that learning to create a great experience. And a lot of people like live webinars. I've seen recently on Facebook where now you can live stream right on Facebook through your mobile device. I mean, stuff is changing so dramatically. You got on-demand courses, which is what I typically like because people can watch them anytime they want. A real big key to on-demand learning is when you look at your typical if you're a real estate agent that controls your own time, you can learn anytime you want. But if you're a manufacturing group or a group that they're working on the plant floor every single day like ours are, their learning is either in the morning before work, during lunch, or after hours. Or if they are getting a chance to learn on site, here's what happens. You've made a video that's an hour long, and they're halfway through the video, and they have to log out and go do the work and then come back. They have to then remember, where was I in the hour-long video? A little strategy if you do on-demand courses is do your coursework in no more than 10 to 15 minutes. I'd say do no less than 10 minutes, but don't ever do any more than 15 minutes. So they have a chance to watch things in snippets and see. So if they have to get out, they can the program will take them back where they were in the series of videos, but some programs won't take you back in the middle of a video that you've been in. And if you watch 20 minutes of a video, you don't want to have to remember, where did I leave off at? It's kind of going back into an Amazon video movie and trying to figure that out. The other one is podcasts. They can listen in their car. You listen on their iPhone. I know there's learning going on iTunes right now for some industries. And engagement, nano learning. You can just, so figuring out what is going to be engaging and attractive to your audience. That's what you want to look at. So step 7 is now you have your learning center. You've got it all out there. It's ready to go. You're totally psyched. Your director of education, your programming chair is like so fired up. Your bookkeeper's ready to count the money, and now you got to do something with it. And I would tell you the thing you have to do is you have to market. You have to market it. Marketing is a constant in this if you're going to maximize exposure. We actually developed a nice-looking brochure, just a one-page piece that really gets a lot of hits, and it shows the 4 different certificate programs we have and the courses that are involved in each of them and shows how they build on one another. So we want to start someone at one stage and move them to the next and move them to the next and move them to the next. That keeps them in the online learning process for, about 12 to 24 months into the program, depending on how much time is there. But we're constantly promoting and pushing our corporate subscription program and how it suffices with audit compliance with many organizations. So you got to figure out what your marketing message is going to be. And a lot of that, if you've got access to be able to make videos, once people are in the system, make videos, get testimonies, and really keep pushing that out there. Use print, social media, and web. We believe it or not, in this day of social media, we do direct mailers, and we get business from doing those direct mailers to a key A-plus list of people who could use our training. Social media and web, we use that. We put out stuff on Facebook and Twitter for our program, and it's not where we get most of our business, and we also do LinkedIn, but we get most of ours from doing direct mailers and obviously email. We do a lot of email blasts. Continually create new content. You need your content to be adding so it's fresh. I suggest that you have some element of continuing education when you build certificate programs. We didn't do it, and now we're looking at that, but do you want to be a one and done where you got your heat treat specialist certificate 5 years ago and you never have to re-up it, or do you want to say it's good for 2 years and every 2 years you have to do 10 hours of training to renew that? So that's a way to keep the revenue stream of people in line, is to create a expiration date on your program and keep people coming back. I know many industries have continuing ed and you lose your credentialing. I know master chefs have to have 80 hours of continuing ed every 5 years. That keeps them coming back to the program. Be on the lookout for new cert ops. A quick story. So we had our qualified furnace operator program. It was 5 key courses. One of a group of our members said, Tom, when engineers from big companies come to do business with us, they really don't understand heat treating. They understand mechanical engineering, but not the heat treating process. Is there anything we can do to help teach them that? We looked in our array of courses that we already had done. We found 5 that really bridged the gap between what they had in learning and what they needed, and we simply added those 5 courses on top of our current qualified furnace operator course, and we called it the Heat Treat Technical Specialist Certificate. All we did was create one big program. It took us literally a couple of hours, and we launched it the next month, and boom, everybody under the sun in our industry is trying to get to the Heat Treat Technical Specialist. So I share that short story to show that sometimes everything you need to create a certificate program is all right there in your hands, and you just need to push it together and call it something. Because remember what you're selling. You're not selling education. You're selling achievement, accomplishment, and certificates, in my opinion. If you want to maximize your success, that's what you're going to want to pull off. So, and the big thing is to have a content review team. We have an education program team as well as a content review team, and we're constantly looking at all of our content and our learning, because that's what it boils down to. Our systems, we don't let our members and our committees get bogged down into the system. the LMS, we keep them totally focused on here's what we have to offer, here's their certificate programs, is there a gap between what members are needing to learn, what you're learning in your plans, and what we have. And then we keep looking at what worked, what didn't work, what content did your members respond to, what types of deliveries have worked best, and then, what was big enough, where was there a big enough marketing push, and is your member experience up to par? So, and the other thing I'd suggest you do in this element is after each, we're about to implement this, after each course, you want to put a short, literally 3 to 5 question survey that just basically allows them to tell you about their experience. Is there anything you see that can improve the program? And what topics are you seeing that you would like to see in the future? Let your people coming in and doing the course taking drive the new content selection, because, the ideas. And then the content review team and the education committee can funnel those ideas into courses that are meaningful and stuff. So review, analyze, and revise is a constant thing, because we're in this day of video, YouTube, short snippets. 3 years from now, if you're still using the same kind of looking stuff and you don't have new content out there, it's going to look kind of blasé. So you really need to be pushing the envelope there. So that kind of brings us to the end of the 7 steps. And just to review them, so why e-learning? Because it maximizes your value. You need to find your niche, design your certificate strategy, assess your content opportunities and access those, determine your pricing model, select your technology, and market and maintain that content and that program and do that. If you do these 7 steps, I truly believe if you strategically sit down with a team of your members, a team of your staff, and have a mission and don't lose sight of the mission, you will create something that can really generate another level of non-dues revenue that you've never seen before and engage members in a way that you've never seen. So going back to, I encourage everybody on the program, if you've not looked at a qualified association specialist with FSAE, it's nationwide. I would suggest going to the associationspecialist.org website. Check it out. It's presented with a number of other SAEs. It's 13 modules that really connect the dots for someone and many people that just come into association management take this so they understand when I'm working in membership, how do what I do connect with the communications department, the finance department, the meetings department, because we all cause things in other departments as we take action, and this program really helps someone to be well-rounded and connect those dots. So I'd like to thank everyone today for taking that opportunity to be a part of this epic program and showing you how to build epic online learning. And I'd like to turn it to Amelia to ask her, is there any questions that are buzzing out there that people want to hear some answers, comments on?
Thank you, Tom. Thank you so much. Good stuff here. And no surprise, we've had a ton of questions come in. So we're going to do our very best to get through them. I do want to remind everybody, if you do have a question, head over to the Q&A tab. It's on the left portion of your screen. Like I said, there's already a lot of questions in the queue, so we're just going to do our best to roll through them, and hopefully we'll get to all of them within the next 20 minutes or so. So Tom, the first question, what was the process like to convert your materials into online materials? You mentioned early in the webinar that when you first came on board with MTI, you had to take some stuff that wasn't online and put it online. So what was that like?
So all the files they had were fortunately in PDF documents. And any of the systems will allow you to upload PDF files. So we just uploaded the PDF files in 3-page increments. Courses I've taken in the past, you would read 3 pages and hit next. And you can decide what is maybe 1 page, 2 page, but we did 3 PDF pages and hit next. And so we just uploaded those into the system. So if you have content that's in big books, that's going to be an expense of having someone put those in a Word document or a PDF format. But that's all we did was we created them into PDF formats. Once we had those PDFs and we're generating money, we then got with the industry professional and said, could you teach in a 1-hour video this course that's in this book? And then we added a video component on top of the actual book. So they were getting instruction from someone right on screen as they were looking at the book, and he would say if you could turn to page 22 or 6 or whatever. So we first started with just text learning, reading, and then we moved into adding video on top of that once we started seeing the money come in from those.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Another question here, any suggestions on how to better engage boomers with online learning, so the boomer generation? Any suggestions on how you can maybe get them a little bit more involved in the online learning courses?
You know, that's just always a toughie because that's just a different learning style. I'll tell you what we do. We repurpose our learning in this stack. We have the online version, but we also sell that qualified furnace operator program I told you. We don't ever want to say no to a member that wants to learn, so we package it in a DVD set for $700, and the company can buy that, and it comes with 5 student handbooks and all the videos on DVD. So it's easy for them to have access to it, and it comes with 5 certificates. So that's how we've kind of engaged the boomers in the learning process. It's about meeting the needs of your members where they are, because if you keep trying to push a boomer into online learning that doesn't want it, you're going to lose them. They're not going to go there. So I have a tendency to want to say, okay, let's create it, let's charge it, and make money on it. So we've done that. We've repurposed online learning to go back to making the offline learning experience one that they could do in their home with a DVD. But what I would tell you is to, as they see the younger generation in their operations being successful, promote those. If you have certificate programs, promote those younger people getting certificate programs. And, you know, the baby boomers don't want to be left behind, and they may begin to catch on and say, I want to do that. They're just not used to that learning style yet.
Great. Thank you. Some good advice. Another question, can you explain the difference between certificates and credentialing again?
So credentialing is, it's kind of like you go into an automotive garage, it's ASE certified. They're certifying a certain performance level for a garage. You're certifying that this group is going to perform at a certain level. And that's in a lot of industries. And there's come some risk with that, because the moment you say they're going to perform at a certain level, if they don't perform at that level, then you could be sued. So a credentialing program is, and in my opinion, what I look at it, it's saying someone's going to perform at a certain level and achieve at a certain level. A certificate program just simply says that this person took 13 hours of coursework with these learning objectives and passed the post-test for those learning objectives. That's all it's saying. It's just saying that one of our certificate programs actually has tied to it an on-the-job training component where they have to at least work in a plant for at least 12 consecutive months as well to get the certificate. So one of our certificates has knowledge transfer as well as on-the-job training. So I hope that's clear. One, and there's no risk with that model, because you're just certifying that they took a test and they passed the learning module for those particular hours that they were required under that.
Perfect. Thank you. Another one here, how do you address member and non-member access? Should non-members get any access, or should they simply pay more than members?
Always pay more. Our members get a 50% discount on every course, no questions asked. We have coupon codes for 50% off, and that's a huge value prop. That's part of the value proposition. So you must, if you're going to be a member-driven organization and build your membership and have high value, the value has to have some price structure breaks in there for people to get access to that coursework. So yeah, our non-members pay double what the members pay. But what we do is they don't pay double. The non-members are actually paying retail what it would cost. Members are getting a 50% discount to pay way less than retail.
Great. Thank you. Let's see. Another question.
Let me say real quick.
Oh, go ahead.
Remember the difference between penalizing someone or rewarding someone. We're given a break, not penalizing in our pricing structure.
Got it. Thank you. Just making sure I'm asking the right. Okay. What do you recommend for measuring if learners have actually learned the content? Do you recommend a short quiz after each video?
Well, testing is absolutely paramount. You have to do testing that shows the knowledge transfer, and I would encourage you in that place. We do typically for an hour of video, we do 10 questions is what we do. So for every hour, I'd encourage you to do 5 to 10 questions. Because here's the thing, you don't want it to be easy. There's got to be some element of challenge to this so that you actually, it feels like, man, I accomplished something. And so don't make it easy, but don't make it overly difficult. And the other thing I want to encourage in that endeavor is don't put all the answers in the PowerPoint. we learned a lesson. I just saw someone said, you talk about what worked, what didn't work. Well, here's something that didn't work. We took all the test questions from the video as well as the PowerPoint that we worked. What I found out from a member is some of their employees found out that all the answers were in the PowerPoints, so they just skipped watching the video and went to the PowerPoint and took the test. And so what I did was I immediately went in and we withdrew 60. If there were 20 questions in a test, we withdrew all the 60% of the PowerPoint slides that had the answers on it. So if they just looked at the PowerPoints and answered the test questions, they were going to get a 40 and fail the exam. So you had to watch the video. So create your testing. Don't make the answers so blatant and easy where they can just kind of look like, go back to high school where you look through the book and got all your answers. Ours are closed book tests. So, so make sure that they have to watch the videos to get most of the content to take part in the testing phase.
Great, thank you. Another question, could you speak more about peer review of content? Our holdup is the notion of consensus for authoritative industry content.
That is a very, very good question. We actually, you can imagine, we've had the same content for 10 years now, and we've been on a 1.5-year journey of reproducing 50 hours of video content. How do you do that? Well, we had an old presenter that we wanted who had great content, but his presentation style, and he had a British accent, so it wasn't easily understandable to a lot of people. So we're like, how do we take this 50 hours and turn it into new content? So this is a big website everybody's going to want. If you stay to this moment, you're going to get a great resource. It's called Rev.com, R-E-V.com. You upload the video to them in an MP3 format, change the video into an MP3 audio file, upload it into the system. It's $1 a minute. Within 24 to 48 hours, you get back a fully transcribed Word document of the entire thing in writing. It was amazing. So we simply transcribed every single video for $1 a minute. I got back the 18 to 20 pages of Word document. We basically went out, we created a content review team that I spoke of earlier. We submitted that. We asked for volunteers, 3 volunteers, to read the document and make the necessary changes to update it, check it for technical accuracy and grammar and spelling. And we got that back. And here's the other cool thing. Instead of having an industry person who, I mean, we've been looking for the Tony Robbins in our industry for a long time. They don't exist in the engineering world. So what we did is we took that transcript and we hired a professional speaker who had a science background. And he then went in and read, but his reading, it's very natural and it's very engaging and very exciting the way he presents. People have loved it and we're excited to launch those courses next year. And then we had, our video team would travel to me to member plants, and I had members with an Excel spreadsheet watch the videos and then say, okay, when he's talking about this, it'd be great to get this shot. So we were able to film some B-roll footage to put on top of the speaker so that when he's speaking, they're actually viewing and seeing what it is he's talking about. And we merged all that and then created the coursework. And then we had the video review, the content review team watch the video one last time, and then now it's going to go live. So we were able to use our members in a great way of getting these transcripts done to having them review it for accuracy, turning it to video, adding some membership B-roll on top of it, and then putting it out. And we're actually launching those next week.
Great, thank you. We've got a couple more here, Tom. And I think you've sort of answered this one, but just to reiterate for the attendee who has the question, what sort of methods do you use to engage learners with content, just videos, quizzes, or a mix?
We do everything. Every single one of our learning modules has video. Some of them have the first 5 courses I spoke about, the qualified furnace operator, it had video, text material, kind of like 18 to 40 pages of actual text that was written years ago. All those courses I told you we did with the industry expert had a PowerPoint, an extensive PowerPoint and video. But what we've done since is now that we've transcribed the video, we're going to take the transcription and put it out online with the video because some people want to read instead of watch a video. We're trying to engage the learning style. So ours kind of encompasses everything. And as I said before, all of our videos, all of our courses have tests except for our conference videos. We don't put tests on the conference videos. Those are simply just for a continuing learning experience.
Okay, great. Thank you. Here's a good one. You talked about what worked. What didn't work?
Well, the one thing that didn't work, as I told you, was taking all the test questions from the PowerPoints, because that caused people to be able to just kind of not take in and actually consume the knowledge. And so we fixed that. You know, we are a group that looks really deep at all of our strategy step by step, and I'm trying to think back of anything that did not work. And you know, we really didn't have anything that blew up in our face. I mean, we followed these 7 steps, and the program took off like crazy. And I remember calling into our office as I was on trips, and they would say, "Tom, we're printing more money today. We got 16 more subscriptions in from corporate members." And so I'd have to think. That's a big question. I have to think back as to what really didn't work that we weren't prepared for, because we pretty much had. I'm a big believer in looking out into the future, going, what is the threat? What's going to come in and disrupt what we're about to take on? And we really kind of planned for all that stuff. So I can't, my 2 ladies that work in our office could probably answer that question very well, because they're working it every day. But I can't think as we implemented anything that we did that I haven't talked about today that really didn't work in our favor. This has really been a gem of a program for us.
Wonderful. Thank you. Another one here. How do you keep your offline learning from being shared beyond those that have purchased the program?
You know, it's a copyrighted program, and we simply have in there, all you can do is just put in there that, look, this is not to be distributed. You're the only sole owners of this. It's kind of goes back to the days when you had a box of Windows software and you shared it with your 32 friends. It said in the license agreement that, you know, you can't do that. Well, ours is the same thing, but I mean, you know, you just kind of have to go on the buddy system, the honor system, and know that your people hopefully aren't sharing it en masse. They're typically wanting to keep it with themselves. I mean, I know people who've given me CAE stuff if I wanted to take the CAE instead of buying it. And, you know, so there's no real way to control that unless the online learning stuff, you definitely can control. But offline, that's just a toughie. There's really no way, unless you got something in like Mission Impossible that it self-destructs after the test, that can't happen.
Too funny. Another question here, and I think the FSAE QAS program is probably the best example that I can think of, but it says, do you have an actual example of an online course we can review? I'll let Tom chime in, but I just to sort of clarify for people, what you're watching right now, it may not be a course in the traditional nature, meaning you're certainly not going to be quizzed when this is over, but you are watching a webinar, and you're within a platform where if we did enable it, we could have a quiz pop up at the end and sort of, you know, ask you some questions about what Tom presented, and if you do get a qualifying score, then a certificate would pop up, which is very similar to the QAS program that Tom talked about, which has, you know, 13 of these types of programs in it. They're on demand versus live, but they look just like this, what you're watching right now, and people just need to take a quiz, as Tom alluded to a few times, to get access to that certificate at the end. Tom, did you want to add to that at all?
Yeah, I mean, you really kind of summed up in a nutshell. I mean, if anybody hasn't ever taken an online course in the call, what I can tell you is what you would experience in ours is you would log in like anything else, and you'd come to a page that lets you look at your profile or click to your courses. You click your course, you would go into the course, and you would see a menu on the left that shows you all the components of the course, and you can click in and out, and they all pop up. If it's reading material, you read and go next till you read it all. If it's a video, the video pops right up in the player. You can go full screen. And then as you get to the end of it, when you've completed all the learning exercise and there's checks on every single component, and then it says you want to take the test. You click take the test. It pops up one question at a time, and you can do multiple choice, multiple answer, true, false, whatever you want. And then at the end, you answer, and at the end you say submit test for grading, and it says you've either passed or not passed. And we give people, typically we're a 70% or greater passes, and you get 3 chances to take the test. And most people pass it within 3. We have a few that haven't passed it. And at the end it says you want to print your certificate or keep it online. That's the beautiful thing about online learning. The systems keep all the transcripts and the certificates under the username and password of each individual for past reference or future reference. So now, one thing we have not talked about that I will mention here, because I know we're getting about 4 minutes left, is whatever you do, make sure that your learning system is mobile. You want people to learn from their phones, literally from their phones or their iPads or mobile devices. And we didn't have that. We was painstaking process, and I put it off forever. And finally, a year ago, we made the leap to reconnect all of our content into a newer LMS system that had online mobile learning. And so mobile is so critical to the future. Do not do anything without an effective mobile strategy. And you're learning your LMS. It's not a separate system. Your LMS should be mobile friendly on the web.
Yep, absolutely. And we may even have some people watching this right now from their mobile phone, perhaps, because the platform we're watching it from is mobile friendly. So, really good point.
Who wouldn't want to learn on the beach, right, Amelia?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Especially with summer coming up, we need to be able to access this type of content from all places.
You're not kidding.
Well, I think we've got about 3 minutes left, so I think we'll sort of start to wrap it up and give everybody an extra 3 or 2 minutes back to their day. Tom, anything you want to add before we close it out here?
I'd just like to thank you all for hosting me in and thanking everybody for coming online. And just the big thing is print off the PowerPoint, look at the 7 steps, follow that with your committee, and find your niche and really get that content. But the biggest thing is your members need certificate programs. There's an industry that probably doesn't need to give them satisfaction, even if it's just an employee orientation into the industry. A new employee training is so huge right now. And instead of me as an owner having to take a day to train someone, I could stick them in a room and put them through employee orientation about what's our industry like, what are the keys to our industry, a nice 4-hour half-day program that when they get done, they kind of know what they need to do to come into work every day at the base level. There's that kind of need in so many industries. So find that niche and capitalize on it. And I guarantee you 5 years from now, you'll say this was the best webinar you were on for money.
Wonderful. And we even had a couple of folks write into the Q&A. Wonderful webinar. Thank you. Awesome webinar. Thank you. So glad to hear that it was helpful for everybody. So I want to go ahead and wrap it up. I want to thank you, Tom, for being here, for sharing your knowledge and expertise with us. I certainly appreciate it, and I always love working with you, so thank you so much. I also want to thank the audience. I hope you gained some insight on how you can get started making your online learning programs more engaging and epic to go with the theme today. If you do have any questions or anything you want to share, please don't hesitate to email me. My email address is sort of in the middle left side of the screen there for you. If you do have any questions about Abilla's Freestone Learning Management System, that is what we're using right now, or our AMS, which is NetForum, or Florida Society of Association Executives Qualified Association Specialist Program, which is what we talked about quite a bit today. It's a great example of an online course that Tom was very integral in creating. Please feel free to email me. I'm happy to help with any questions that you have. And again, thank you so much for joining us. We will email you a copy of your CAE certificate and a copy of the slides later this week, and I will also include a link to the recording, so if you do want to go back and watch again, you can. And we hope you have a wonderful rest of the day. This does conclude today's session. You may now go ahead and disconnect.